$190 billion that doesn't exist yet is pricing one of the biggest IPOs ever. Wall Street is valuing Anthropic not on this year's sales, but on $190 to $200 billion of revenue forecast for 2028, 2 full years forward, and turning that number into talk of a $2 trillion valuation at debut. Will that revenue ever materialize to support the price investors would pay on day one? The anchor is a previously unreported projection of $190 billion to $200 billion in revenue for 2028. Bankers are applying enterprise value to revenue multiples, not to trailing sales or even 2026 sales, but to that 2028 top line. 4 sources described that 2 years forward approach as the basis for pricing. The gap from today to that forecast is the central tension. The run rate was $87 million in January 2024, then $1 billion by December 2024, about $9 billion at the end of 2025, more than $47 billion by May 2026, and more than $65 billion by the end of July 2026. Claude Code alone was more than $2.5 billion run rate by February. Second quarter 2026 projected revenue was at least $10.09 stashed to $11.05 billion, more than double the prior quarter in some reports, with a path to a first quarterly operating profit of about $559 million. Those are the multiples doing the work. Palantir trades around 53 times expected 2026 revenue, SpaceX and Cloudflare around 41.6 times. Applied to $190 to $200 billion, they point to talk of about $2 trillion at IPO, a level voiced by investor David Merkel of Aleph Investments. That is a sharp step up from the private mark of about $965 billion in May 2026 after a $65 billion Series H. Those same multiples are what would let underwriters justify proceeds that match or exceed the largest capital raise on record. The plumbing is already in motion. A confidential S-1 was filed in early June 2026. A public filing is expected as soon as late August 2026, with a target debut around October 2026 in the fall window, subject to market conditions, SEC review, and roadshow. Underwriters include Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and JP Morgan. Venue expectations lean toward NASDAQ, though NYSE remains possible, with prediction markets favoring NASDAQ for high-growth AI names. The schedule puts Anthropic ahead of OpenAI, leaning toward 2027. The bar for biggest ever is absolute dollars. SpaceX on June 12, 2026 raised about $75 billion at about 1.75 times to $1.77 trillion. The largest by proceeds, surpassing Saudi Aramco in 2019 at about $25.60 to $29.4 billion, with a green shoe, and Alibaba in 2014 at about $21.80 to $25 billion at more than $170 billion. Matching SpaceX proceeds or approaching $2 trillion market capitalization at debut would place Anthropic at or near the top by both proceeds and valuation, but only if the 2028 revenue actually arrives. The forecast is consensus for modeling, not audited guidance. The methodology, definition of run rate versus calendar year revenue, and durability of growth are all uncertain. The earlier internal expectation for 2028 reported in 2025 was up to about $70 billion. The current figure is nearly 3 times that and would require continuing a pattern of more than 10 times annual run rate growth seen in each of the 3 years through early 2026. The bet assumes enterprise and API demand keeps scaling, training and inference costs fall, and revenue outruns massive near-term spending on GPUs, compute, model development, and hiring so margins expand at scale. That multi-year forward approach has precedent in hyper-growth listings like Cerebra's and SpaceX. The other side is already flagged for disclosure. AI backlash and opposition to data centers as a key risk factor. With increased SEC and FTC scrutiny expected on AI safety claims, antitrust concentration, and model transparency, peers including Palantir, Cloudflare, Cerebras, and OpenAI face immediate pressure on margins, pricing, and customer poaching if a $2 trillion marker holds. Until the public S-1 arrives, the $190 billion to $200 billion for 2028 remains the number Wall Street is willing to price today for a company that at the end of 2025 was running at about $9 billion. That filing, then the roadshow, and the October attempt at a debut will show audited numbers, the methodology behind any forecast and risk disclosures, and whether a 2-year forward price leaves any cushion if scaling slows, compute costs do not fall, or enterprise adoption stalls. Like and follow for more stories that matter.